And then you got the interesting story of Legion. It appears in all the synoptics, Matthew 8, Mark 5, Luke 8. I want to look at the account in Luke 11 though. Legion is an insanely violent demon. He's demonizing the host. He becomes very insanely violent. This incident is chock full of extra biblical echoes. So Jesus lived in a world, he didn't live in a vacuum. He lived in a world full of this type of stories. Now, I want to go through some of the accounts of the early evidence because it gives you a good context, especially this story, especially when he goes on to talk about this strong man with his house and his possessions, but someone else attacks him. So you got the Enoch reference there. This is to do with the giants, the Genesis 6. You got some Qumran quotes there. The quote of Philo. This is Philo the philosopher, BC times, on a book called On Giants. So then you got famous names, Justin Martyr, Tertullian, Origen even, talking about basically the point here being that BC, First Apostolic Age, and after are almost unanimous, I would say, that they're connecting these activities that Jesus encountered 3-4 times to, they're going back and saying, you know what, these were those giants. When they died, let's call it, when their bodies were destroyed, they still survived in this spiritual now state. Just one last one from Lactantius. Anthony, go back down to the Lactantius, AD 304, quote-unquote Christian writers, Tertullian, yeah. So BC writers, first Apostolic Age, and after Christian writers. Scholars obviously say that the tradition of the giant and this tradition of disembodied demons, let's call them for now disembodied demons, are obviously, if not cited in the gospel accounts when it comes to demons, this understanding is in the gospels. Remember, we're hearing things like these demons are near tombs, near graveyards. Remember there was an encounter with Jesus with the guy near the tombs and so on. Mark 5. So again, if we go back to all those references by extra biblical writers to Qumran, from Qumran, which is at least 300 BC, Jubilees, and so on, these things descend into bodies, they influence them in such a way, they hang around arid, weird places like graveyards. There's an account right there. They are without bodies. The New Testament is clear that demons do not have bodies. They're not corporeal. They're not physical. They need a body. They need what I call a host. Every demonic account in the New Testament, they required a host. This is a classic example where they even beg Jesus to send them to the pigs. The Luke 11 one is interesting because when they don't have a host, what do? It says they go around arid places, waterless places. By the way, in Jewish understanding, demons, their kryptonite as it were, if there's any comic book fans, their weakness was water. So they go through desert-like places because they don't like waters. There's an interesting account by Josephus of an exorcist, quote-unquote, Eliezer, who used water to weaken or drive out a demonic spirit. They're without substance, says our last Christian writer, Lactantius. They work in the inner parts. Maybe your ear, you go deaf. Your eyesight, your tongue, you go mute, right? They're mute people in the Gospels. I'm just stringing the prose. I'm just giving you the evidence. The reason why I may not sound, if I don't sound dogmatic on this, is because I do share the concern by some of my biblical Unitarian brethren that I was very reluctant to define demons as disembodied spirits, because we don't believe in immortal soul, first of all. I have this saying that you're nobody without a body. Now that's true for human beings. I'm still very dogmatic about that. The evidence is clear about human beings. But with these things, let's call them, I have to go with the evidence, especially obviously the gospel tradition. I mean, I have tons of more stuff I could show you, but I hope this at least gives you food for thought that we're dealing with not flesh and blood as such, but the principalities, the systems, and they're not just underground. They're here and they're in the heavens. From bottom to top, it's replete with this. So there's a lot of demonic stuff going on.